Good morning, Russell here, your dog walking author. Both the pups are here as usual. Today's topic is fiscal responsibility as an indie author. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video. First, I wanted to finish up on the points that other author was making about his tips for other authors in 2026. And it's going to tie into fiscal responsibility, so bear with me. I think his last point that he made was don't waste money on bookmarks. Nobody's going to buy your book because of a bookmark. And on its face, that's probably true. And I understand what he's trying to say, and it ties into fiscal responsibility. He's basically saying don't spend your money frivolously, which is always a good thing in any aspect of life. But when it comes to bookmarks, I think for myself at least, and most of the other indie authors I know, we make the bookmarks to give out as almost kind of like a thank you to people who buy our books at conventions or fairs or, wherever we're selling them live. We're not really necessarily giving them out because we expect a return on our investment. But the fact is, I think I buy 50 bookmarks for something like $25-ish. They're like 50 cents each. So for me, it's worth it as just kind of a thank you. And I think that's what most indie authors buy bookmarks for. But that does lead into the whole aspect of not spending your money frivolously and you understanding your budget and your finances. Because another hot topic in the indie community right now is about not hiring editors. They're not worth it. That's what people are saying. They're scam artists. They're out to get your money. So the first point I want to make, and I've mentioned editors before, I've hired an editor for both my books, Evelyn Kamen. She does a fantastic job, reasonably priced. But yes, it is a cost and it ain't cheap. Although it doesn't have to be nearly as expensive as some of the horror stories you see online. But then again, it all depends on the kind of editing you're doing and the amount of editing, how big your book is. All those factors come into play. Do I recommend hiring an editor? Yes, I do. While acknowledging that it is also quite likely that you are not going to make your money back that you paid for an editor in the short term with your book. I think that's also a reality. My two books, like I said, I hired an editor. I haven't made my money back for them yet, but that's okay. I do it because I want my books to be as good as they can possibly be. And I know they will be of lesser quality if I didn't hire an editor. So that was my main impetus. And here's the thing about spending money on something like an editor. Books never go out of style. Books are evergreen. They don't have an expiration date. Your book can be selling until the end of time, right? It doesn't expire like a lot of other products. So I want my book to be out there representing me the best it can be for years to come. And you hear that all the time with other authors where they say they're publishing their 3rd, 5th, 10th book. And all of a sudden they finally start getting traction. They get an audience. They attract readers. Next thing you know, their first couple books suddenly start selling like hotcakes. And then all of a sudden, they really start making their money. So that's part of the whole point I'm kind of getting at, is you need to know your finances and you need to understand what is your driving goal for being an author and what are you trying to achieve? How quickly are you trying to achieve it? So if you're playing the long game, which I think a lot of authors are and probably should be, you understand that up front, you're probably going to lose money. That's kind of the general rule for almost any business. So if you think of yourself as an author, as a business person, you're probably going to lose money up front, but you're trying to build that base over time. You're putting more books out there. You're making them high quality to eventually get a return on investment. Now, I do understand that some of you don't have the kind of finances to pay for a cover artist and pay for an editor and maybe pay for formatting and all this other stuff. I get it. So you have to work within your budget. But that's also why all of these advice videos you have to take with a grain of salt, because only you know your finances, only you know your goals. Only you know how much you've spent, only you know how much you've made. So you have to critically evaluate all these factors to see what's going to be worth it to you. Going back to editors for a second, the notion that there are shady editors who are just trying to rip you off and scam you. Are there some that do that? Sure. But that's in any business, you're going to find people like that. Are there editors who are bad at their job? Sure. But again, that's the same with any business. It's up to you as the author to do your due diligence, research the editors, get a free sample if you can, a sample edit, talk to them, get referrals, all that good stuff so that you don't get taken for a ride. So that's kind of on you. I mean, think about it. If your car starts making weird noises or jerking or bumping, are you going to stop going to mechanics because we hear a lot of mechanics are shisty? No, you're still going to find a good mechanic, take your car in. An editor, I believe, is pretty essential because I don't think most authors have the skill set to effectively edit their book. If you can, great. You can save that expense, still put out a quality product. I say go for it. I just don't think a lot of them can. I know personally I wouldn't trust myself without an editor, even knowing and being upfront that I haven't made my money back yet from the editing services. So really, at the end of the day, that's my rant or my take videos for today is know your finances, know what you're trying to achieve. So take it with a grain of salt when people tell you what you should and shouldn't pay for when it comes to your book, because you know what you're trying to get out of it. Believe it or not, there are some people who aren't looking to make a lot of money. They're perfectly happy just getting their book out there, and they're happy people are reading it, and they're happy or okay with taking a loss. It's just, that's the way it is. Some people are like that. Some people are in it to try and make as much money as quickly as they can. I respect both sides. Just know your finances and do your due diligence. That's a couple points also that I wanted to add on. One is the old adage that you have to spend money to make money. That's been pretty true in most any kind of profession or business. So I think that definitely applies to authors when it comes to, hiring a high quality cover art, paying for an editor, things like that. It ties into that whole fact that you may lose money up front because you're spending money to eventually make money with a high quality product. The other thing I want to mention when it comes to fiscal responsibility and your finances as an author is to take into account all the extra time and money you spend on things like gas, maybe lodgings, table fees, going to conventions and going to places to sell your book, all the time and money you spend on social media, making videos, making graphics, jumping online in general, spending your time trying to promote your book, which I'm saying you probably need to do to get sales. But all of that, they say time is money. And that's true. Time is money. So you have to also factor in all of that time that you're spending is time that you could be spending writing your book or doing other things. So just keep that in mind as well. Finances and your fiscal responsibility, the money you're spending, isn't just literally the money that's coming out of your bank or out of your wallet. It's also your time that you're investing. So think carefully about how you want to invest that time. I think time is maybe more valuable than money in many ways. So be smart about it. Anyway, those are my extra tips. Have a great one, everyone. Both books available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Get them now.